My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. For this adventure, everyone, we are hitting the road. Our destination is numerous hours away in the Pisgah National Forest. Just in case you don't know, the Pisgah National Forest is huge, over 500,000 acres. The plan is to head out on an old forest road. We will find a place to camp, and together we are going to have a good time. The conditions today are amazing. Right now it's 70 degrees, low humidity, lots of sun. Perfect. Later on tonight, the lows are going to dip down to roughly 49 degrees. The interesting thing about the location that we're going to, or I should say one of the interesting things about the location, this area has been closed since Hurricane Helene had came through. That was a year ago. Only recently has this old forest road opened up. Hopefully it's open. You never know when it comes to a forest road. Half the time online, the information says it's open. You go out there, it's closed. No matter what happens, we will find a place to camp out tonight, and I can't wait. With this dump truck being in front of us, that reminds me of something that I read this morning about the forest road that we're going out on. Hurricane Helene hit roughly 1 year ago, and ever since it hit, the U.S. Forest Service has been dropping 2,000 tons of gravel on this road. 60 trucks a day of dropping gravel. They've been working on it for over a year to get this road open, and supposedly it is open. That storm did unprecedented damage in this area, and luckily things are beginning to bounce back. Things are recovering. Don't look down, everyone. We are pretty high up. As an update, I've been on the road for almost an hour, and right now I am backtracking. There's this little side road that I'd always take to get off of this road onto another one. That road has been destroyed, and it has not been repaired yet, so I have to go back and find a detour. Time for another update. We are getting closer and closer to hitting gravel. We'll see in a minute whether or not this road's open. I really hope it is. We are out here, out in the middle of nowhere. We have officially hit gravel. Now, everyone, we are going up and over numerous mountains, going into some very remote country. So far, so good on this gravel road here. As it stands right now, we have roughly 10 to 12 miles more to go. There's a campsite that I have in mind. Hopefully it's not taken. Hopefully we can get to it. We'll find out in a bit. So far, everyone, this road is in awesome shape. At the same time, it doesn't look like there's many people out here, so hopefully the campsite that I want to go to is available. This, everyone, is the campsite that I've selected for tonight. Is it the beautiful campsite that I was planning to go to? No, it's not. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it as far as I wanted to go on this road. Up until this point, I really haven't seen anyone. Then I got to the point a few miles from here, it was just nothing but dump trucks. Obviously, they're rebuilding roads or doing something big. So at that point, I decided to turn around and come back. And this is the only real campsite in this area. There are some really nice campsites 8 miles away from here, but considering the time, I think I'm just gonna take this site here. It's not the best in the entire world, but at the same time, it's not bad either. I can put my tent right here because this is nice and level. There is somewhat of a fire pit with some firewood, so I can burn that. Additionally, we're a good distance away from the main road, so we don't have to worry about anybody coming down this way, and we don't have to worry about blowing dust because it's so dry. As you all see here, I have the tent set up. It's ready for tonight. Now, luckily, everyone, we will not need a tarp for this adventure. There is no chance of rain at all. With this trip here, I wanted to make it super simple. We had such a long drive to get out here. I didn't want an elaborate setup. And luckily, I don't have to have one. Camp is very close to being set up, but before I get it completed, there's something I have to do. What I have here, everyone, is the Thermacell Mosquito Backpacker Edition. Basically, this is mosquito repellent that runs on isobutane. A viewer sent this to me. They must have known that I was going to come out to this location. Because like where I live, where I camp at, Lone Wolf Mountain, and the higher elevations, there's no mosquitoes. But down here at this elevation, there is. Not only are there a ton of mosquitoes, but at the same time, there's lots of gnats and other flying bugs. So hopefully this works. I have never used a Thermacell product before, not until now. It has been about 15 minutes, and I wanted to go ahead and answer the question on whether or not the Thermacell works. Yes, it does. It takes roughly 15 minutes for the heating pad to heat up to the point where some smoke can be released. Basically, this product works like this. You have the isobutane, you have a stove with a very small flame on the inside. That flame, that very small flame, is heating up this steel pad. That pad is getting hot, and it's interacting with this mosquito repellent, and it's letting off just a little bit of smoke. I have to say, it smells pretty good. I don't know if I should be breathing it in, but it does smell good. And more importantly, it does seem to be working. The thing is this, you have to be right next to it. Otherwise, it doesn't really do much. The radius for this thing is not that great. I mean, if you're more than maybe like 4 feet away, unfortunately, it's not going to do much. We, everyone, are in good shape now. All that we have to do, really, is make dinner and get a fire going. With dinner tonight, it is super simple, and at the same time, very healthy. Healthier than I typically eat on these adventures. I like this campsite, everyone. It's not super fancy, but it is pretty cool. I like this long driveway here. I like this tree that's leaning. This could be a really nice campsite if it was cleared out just a little bit. The view from here would be incredible. One thing that we should talk about in regards to this area are snakes. This area is known as the snake capital of North Carolina, and that's because this area is remote, this area tends to be hot, and this area tends to be wet. Right now, we are in September, about mid-September. That means it's baby copperhead time and baby rattlesnake time. Timber rattlesnakes. With my experiences in this area, what people say about this area is true. There are a ton of snakes out here. I've seen timber rattlesnakes. I've seen a ton of copperheads. In fact, a few years ago, I came out with my mountain bike and I was running up and down these roads getting a good workout in, and I started seeing like all these little squiggly lines in the dust of the dirt road. As my adventure continued, I continued to see those lines in the sand, in the dirt. That's when I came across baby snakes. There was both copperheads and rattlesnakes that had been run over. Those squiggly lines were the snakes leaving the nest. Out of the two venomous snakes that are in this area, copperheads, they're the most prevalent. The most dangerous are the timber rattlesnakes. With that being said though, 90% of all snake bites in this area come from copperheads. And I believe it. There are a ton out here. Even with venomous snakes being in the area, you can still have a great time. You just have to be careful. And I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. For now, everyone, let's warm up that coffee that I have real quick. As it stands right now, we have roughly 50 minutes of light left before it begins to get dark. And once it gets dark, it's gonna be really dark. Because of that, and because we're in snake territory, venomous snake territory, let's talk about what you need to do if you're camping in an area that has venomous snakes. This is how you stay safe. But you do have to keep in mind, there's always a risk. You can do your best, but there's still that risk present. As soon as you get to the area that you want to camp at, check the area over. Search the area as best as you can, but again, remember, you're not going to be able to see every single snake. For an example here, there could be a copperhead right there in those leaves and I wouldn't be able to see it. They can be so well camouflaged that you cannot see them. That's why you don't need to be trampling off through the woods. Don't be walking through high grass, bushes, and stuff like that. Also, make sure to pay attention where you stick your hands. The vast majority of snake bites take place on the hand. Someone sticks their hand down to grab a piece of wood or something like that, a stick, and that's when they get bit. Next, everyone, it is super important that at nighttime you have plenty of light. Make sure you have a flashlight, a headlamp. Make sure that you can see exactly where you're walking. Next, everyone, if you're camping out in an area that has venomous snakes, never leave anything outside of your tent, such as your shoes, a backpack. Don't leave anything for them to crawl into or slither under. And before you exit your tent, make sure to look down at the ground to ensure that there's not a snake next to your tent. That, my friends, is basically all that you can do. Part of it is being cautious. The next part is luck. And that's just how it is. Luckily, for most people, They're not going to have any sort of issues. You just have to be smart. I should mention that it's a good idea to make sure that you keep a clean campsite, especially as far as food goes. You do not want to have any food left on a table, on the ground, and that's because you do not want to bring any sort of rodents into your campsite. If you bring in rodents, mice, and stuff like that, there's a likelihood that you'll bring in snakes too. Anytime that I come out to this area, I plan on a lack of firewood. This area is remote, but it's also super popular. And because of that, finding firewood is not easy. Because of that, I always bring with me a number of compressed logs. But luckily, this time, I don't actually have to use the big logs. I can use these tiny fire starters, and I'll burn all of the firewood that was collected by the previous person who was here. I can tell by the way that this wood was burned, or I should say not burned. It was soaking wet when they tried to burn this. But now it is super dry, and that means we'll have no problem getting this wood to burn. Something just happened, everyone, that's somewhat interesting. So, I was over by the table, having my coffee, and I hear a vehicle coming down the road. It stopped right in front of the 4Runner and just stayed there. I got up and I started walking towards them to see what's going on, and they took off. The odds are that was absolutely nothing at all. Maybe they were looking for their phone, maybe they were looking at my campsite, I have no idea. The thing is this, when you're in a remote area like this national forest, you do have to be careful. Anytime that you have a remote area that's also easily accessible, there's a potential for violent crime. The simple fact is, even with this area here, it has a long history of violent crime. Later on tonight, we'll actually talk about some of the crimes that have taken place in this area. I'm not going to go into graphic detail or anything like that, so you don't have to worry, but I will talk about some of the strange things that have happened in this remote area. And I'll do so because you need to be aware of what takes place in areas like this. Not to put fear in you, not to stop you from going out into the outdoors. More than anything, just so that you can cover your bases. No matter what you do in life, you need to be prepared to protect yourself at least somewhat. That's just a given, it's common sense, and it's been that way since the dawn of man and woman. As I've said many times on this channel, you certainly do not have to carry with you a firearm. There's plenty of ways that you can defend yourself. For an example, pepper spray, bear spray, all of that stuff works incredibly well. Crime is possible anywhere. It's not just an issue in the United States, it's worldwide. So be smart, be safe, everyone. And for myself tonight, I'll definitely keep my eyes and ears open. It's just an aspect to being in a remote area. I've camped out here in this section of the Pisgah National Forest, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 times throughout my lifetime. And very rarely do I have a trip out where I don't experience some sort of oddness. Having people stop in front of your campsite is really common. I'm not sure why that is. I wouldn't do that to someone else, but it is just what it is. What I have here is a Mexican tuna bowl that has red beans, tuna of course, corn, olive oil, carrots, red peppers, jalapenos. And I have mixed that with a Santa Fe style chicken salad. This, everyone, is awesome. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Not every meal can be hamburgers and hot dogs, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta get some of that healthy stuff in you. And this is an easy way to do it. I decided tonight I'd make it nice and easy and also healthy. Hopefully to counteract last night. I went to a friend's house and we ate way too many burgers and drank way too many beers. And I have to say, I didn't realize I'm as hungry as I am until I started eating. I'll tell you what, I am going to eat this and not do any talking. As soon as I'm done, we'll get the fire going and we will do some talking. Plus, I'm an animal and this is hard to eat. Especially with this tiny little fork. Here's some advice for my younger viewers. When you're going out on a first date, there's a few things that you don't order, such as a salad. Most men wouldn't anyways, but whatever. Also, don't order spaghetti. Those are meals that will give a very bad first impression, so. The sun is down, the temperature is dropping, we have a nice warm fire going, and you can see here how well this wood is burning. It is bone dry. As far as the temp goes, we're looking at, I don't know, 50-ish degrees. I don't have a thermometer with me, forgot it. A little while ago, we were talking about some of the violent crimes that have taken place in the Pisgah National Forest. Let's go over some of those. There's John and Irene. They were an elderly couple who were abducted and murdered by a serial killer in the Pisgah National Forest. That happened in 2007. Gary Michael Hilton was known as the National Forest serial killer. Here's another account from 1994. A woman named Karen. She was raped and murdered while out mountain biking in the Pisgah National Forest. That case was exceptionally brutal, and it stands as one of the most brutal crimes that has taken place in the Pisgah National Forest. In 1990, Leslie murdered a man named Jamie, buried his body in a shallow grave 210 feet from the road. 1997, a nurse from Massachusetts who disappeared from Philadelphia was found in a scattered grave in the Pisgah National Forest. That case remains unsolved to this day. In 2023, just a few years ago, the remains of a body was found in the Pisgah National Forest. That is an ongoing investigation and very little is known. Hunters stumbled upon the body in a very remote section. A local sheriff's department is currently investigating a shooting death in the Pisgah National Forest. Going back to the 1960s, there's an unsolved rape and murder that took place in this area. The only reason why I bring this up, well, for one thing, we are out here in this area, and it's just simply an aspect to remote camping. It's something that you need to consider. It is something that you need to be concerned about, but not fearful about. With all of that being said, though, crime in the Pisgah National Forest is relatively low compared to the national average. It's low in the Pisgah National Forest, even though we have all of these cases. But if you go to other national forests, that their crime stats are going to be much, much higher. Again, everyone, this is not just a problem in the United States. It can happen anywhere. Cases very similar to the ones that I've mentioned. Europe, Canada, Australia. I mean, it literally can happen anywhere. Listen to that forest, everyone. It is alive. While this fire is fantastic, it is becoming a little bit breezy. And because of that, and because it's so dry, I'm going to let this burn out. I'm not going to add any more to it. The odds are extremely slim that you could even get a fire to spread right now, but still, I'd rather not take any chances. A long time ago, I came out for a camping trip with my brother. He drove us out here, and he had a GMC Jimmy, 2-wheel drive. That thing would spin out everywhere. Anyways, we came out for a trip, and we basically made it to the campsite, and that's when the radiator blew. We had to get that thing towed all the way back to town, hours away. It cost a fortune. I don't remember how much now. That was a long time ago, 20 years ago plus. In today's money with inflation and all that stuff, it likely cost to have his vehicle towed out of here. The best calculation that I can come up with is around $3 million. Or at least that's what it felt like 20-something years ago. It was expensive. Everyone, being inside of this tent, it's amazing. Feels so good in here. When it cools down, I have this small heater here to keep me warm. Well, everyone, it is now time for bed. Getting tired. It's about 10:45. I've been dozing a little bit while watching a movie. Not really watching it, but you know what I mean. Anyways, I think it's time to go to sleep. I will see you all at 5 a.m. Sleep good, everyone. See you tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. 5 o'clock came quickly, but I slept great last night. Inside of the tent, I didn't seal it up completely, but I did let the doors down, and I ran the heater for, 50% of the night. Basically, when I woke up, the gas canister ran out, so perfect timing. Coffee is made, but now it's time to make breakfast. That's right, everybody. This is the rare occasion where I'm going to make breakfast. Last night, I had a light dinner. I want a good breakfast this morning, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. This morning, we are having biscuits and gravy. And let me tell you all, this stuff is so good. The coffee this morning is excellent. Hazelnut coffee. It's delicious. Seriously, folks, this is incredible. Today, everyone, is iPhone 17 day, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you can order it today and it arrives in a few days. Every single year, I purchase a brand new iPhone and I give it a shot. Every single year, I end up selling that phone. More than anything, I get it in so I can test out how well it works, just in case someone has a question. I'm not a tech reviewer, but I do want to know how well stuff like that works, because the simple truth is, you use your phone, I use my phone. They're fantastic in so many ways, especially with navigation and whatnot. So every year, I purchase a new one. Last year, the iPhone 16, it was simply not good enough for me to keep. The issue that I had with it, well, I have a handful of issues, but the biggest one was reception. The iPhone 16 used a new Apple antenna system, chip and whatnot, like as far as like reception goes. Plain and simple, it did not work most of the places that I went, such as Lone Wolf Mountain. It didn't even work at Lone Wolf Mountain. Now, of course, it did make up for that somewhat with satellite communication, but that's not the same. Sending a text message, I should be able to use the phone, right? If there's service there, I should be able to use it. And with the iPhone 16, I couldn't. Apple says they've made all of that better. We shall see. Pretty funny. The latest iPhone is basically just a copy of like Android phones from like 2022. There's really nothing new there except for like one camera thing, but that's about it. Welcome to modern times, iPhone users. You may have noticed that I've been whispering this morning. That's because I'm not alone out here. Last night, a car came down the road, backed up. Apparently, there's a campsite across the road from us. I didn't see it. Anyways, I really didn't even notice that they had pulled in there until it was getting dark. That's when I saw someone shining a flashlight towards my campsite. So I walked out to the road. And then, like, it appeared to be like two people over there. They walked out to the road. They were shining their light at me. I'm shining my light at them, and they start coming towards me. I start going towards them. I figured they wanted to talk to me for some reason. I get close to them and they just take off and run towards their tent, their campsite. People are freaking weird. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. Have you all noticed how socially awkward everyone is? Everybody acts so weird. Outside of that, it was a good night. Nothing weird happened. Didn't hear any animals, no snakes. The sun is coming up, everyone. In about 30 minutes, it'll be light enough to start packing up. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me for this trip. I hope you all have had as good of a time that I have. This is a beautiful place, again with a crazy history. It was an awesome trip all the way around. Slept great, enjoyed some good food, some good company, and now everyone, it is time to go home. If you enjoyed this adventure, please hit the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. That's a great way to support this channel. If you want to become a member, you can do so on Patreon and on YouTube. Oh yeah. Until next time, everyone, take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye.